Hey, welcome in to day 8 of the Visibility Anchor series. I'm excited to share with you the anchor for today. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if the technology is behaving and the tech gremlins haven't, got involved. Hopefully you can. I'm sat here with a cup of chamomile today. It's been one of those days, and I just need to have wind down Thursday with a cup of chamomile. So if you're on, let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, and then I'll get into the content. All right, I can see that I am live on LinkedIn. I am about to bring TikTok into the mix. Hey, TikTok, welcome into the live. We are speaking all about visibility anchors. I've been going live for the past 8 days, right? So I did 4 days last week and up to today, this week, right? So tomorrow is the final day in the series. I'll be sharing 2 anchors tomorrow. So tomorrow will look like, well, I'll get into what they will be about. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you. If you're on a platform and you're not happy with the platform you're on, you can switch. It's okay, you can switch. So I'm on LinkedIn. Hey, LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. Hey, YouTube. I'm on TikTok. Hey, TikTok. And I feel like I'm somewhere else. LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm on Instagram as well, right? So if you have your preference and you're not feeling where you are, feel free to change seats. It's okay. Your neighbor won't mind. You can move seats, right? Let me know if this is your first time. So probably the guys on TikTok, this will be your first time checking out the anchor series, the visibility anchor series. If you are a returnee, would you drop in the chat and say returnee, say I'm coming back for more, right? We have spoken about your platform being an anchor, your content being an anchor, your story being an anchor. And when I say anchor, think of it as the thing that grounds you online, the thing that stops you floating all over the place and feeling like you're, out at sea, drifting all over the place. What I want is for you to have some markers, some boundaries that you operate within, because then it makes it easier for you to show up. It makes it easier for you to get visible. So I'm looking at all of the comments across all of the screens. So if you see me looking somewhere else, I'm not ignoring you, right? So let's get into it. Today's anchor is all around evergreen content, right? And my forehead is doing the most, shining up a storm. Do you know what I've just realized? So on all of these lives, I've had my hot drinks. On TikTok, yeah, you guys over here, they have rules around drinking while on live. So yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. Anywho, so we're speaking about your evergreen content. Do you have pieces of content that are not like tied to a moment in time? They're not tied to a particular event. They're not tied to a thought that you had and you created a story around. Do you have content that, I want to say, endures, has longevity outside of this current moment, right? Are you building a library of assets that are evergreen? And I'll get into more around what that means specifically. But drop in the comments, let me know. Hey, Debbie, why am I saying Debbie? Why did I think Debbie when I saw your name? Jackie. I think it was the watcher. I was like, huh? That threw me. How are you, Debbie? Okay, maybe is your middle name Debbie? Maybe you should be called Debbie. Why is or maybe Debbie is calling my name. That could be why. That could be why. Jackie, I'm super happy to have you on. You've jumped on via YouTube. So great to have you. Over on IG, yes, in cleaning is a must to have evergreen content. Yeah, absolutely. Across all sectors, across all niches, and especially if you are a service-based business owner, having evergreen content so that while you are delivering, while you're doing the work that you're being paid to do, you can still show up, you can still be visible. No, it ain't Debbie. I don't know why. I forgive me. I don't know where that came from. Leonora, you are back. You are back. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm going to. So I'm on a few devices. Also, I've looped TikTok into the mix. I do have a cup of chamomile, which is probably going to end up cold because you can't drink while you're streaming on TikTok. Policies and rules, right? But let's get into it, guys, because before you know it, my time will be up, or I'll have you here way into the night, chatting your ears off, right? So let's jump in. I asked you if you have evergreen content. Is it something that you're even aware of? You might be like, what is she even talking about? Evergreen content is the type of content I believe that works even when you are not, right? When you are offline, busy, resting, you might not even be in the mood to show up. You might be ill, you might be sunning yourself somewhere else, right? The content that you have created that is evergreen can show up in your absence, can be something that people can binge consume, right? And really get to grips with who you are and what you do to then move them further down the funnel to take the next step, right? So it means then that you're not having to always be on, right? So this particular anchor is not about doing more. It's not. What it's about is the content that you are creating, letting that last longer, right? So a lot of women, they say to me, like, I'm tired, right? Not physically tired, probably that as well, but they're content tired, right? Because they feel like they're always having to create, always having to come up with new content. It feels like a treadmill, like they're just running and there's no end in sight. Because once you post something, and this is dependent on the platform, and we'll get into that, right? Most often there's like a 12-hour shelf life. You spend forever and a day creating. Thank you very much for the heart me. You spend forever and a day creating the content, and then before you know it, it's nowhere to be seen. It's disappeared. Even from your eyes, you're like, hold on, I know I created this thing, but you can't find it for toffee, right? Because the algorithms move quickly. They want fresh content. They want to be continually putting new stuff in front of people's eyes. And then I link it back to the first anchor we spoke about, your platform. I would say the two platforms that probably have the longest shelf life in terms of your content and how long it endures on the platform, how long it will still be served to other people. LinkedIn, and you're probably like, yes, Shalina, you would say that. But no, seriously, LinkedIn, how many of you have had a post from maybe, I don't know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, come across your timeline and your feed, right? It's kind of how LinkedIn are operating at the moment. They're not so much focused on like timeliness. So when you post, it's more about relevancy. So if your content is still relevant a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, then they're going to present it to your network, regardless of kind of how long ago you posted it, right? So the first one is LinkedIn. And then I would say the second one is Pinterest. So whether you view Pinterest, and we're not only talking social media, I was going to say if you view it as social media or not, it's actually a search engine, but it's about visibility broadly, right? So I would say those two, you put content on there and they endure for a good amount of time, that the effort that you've put into it kind of feels, it's worth the effort. Whereas on some other platforms, which I won't name, IG, right? Before you even click publish, it feels that it has disappeared from the timeline, right? Reels are being created every millisecond. How many thousands and millions of people are creating reels? So it feels like a battle to fight against the algorithms, to fight against all the other creators, to have your content endure and like last and still be presented. Let's see what the comments are saying. So Jackie says, I have lots of evergreen content ideas, but editing deadlines take priority right now. Yeah, I get that. And this is my point, right? Getting to the point where you have a library and a bank of evergreen content then means you can be in delivery mode and rest assured that you're still being visible. You're still getting eyeballs on you, what you do, and your insights and all those things. So it kind of works. It's one of those things, right, that you have to dig your well before you're thirsty, right? You have to get to work in the margins of time to build that library so that further on down the line, you can kind of show up for your clients and your delivery work, knowing that stuff at home is being taken care of, if that makes sense, right? Let's see as well. So Jackie has said, LinkedIn, Pinterest, yes, and YouTube. Yeah, you could add YouTube into that as well. Absolutely into the mix. So I'm getting hot and sweaty and I actually want some of my tea. Right. So choosing your platform will help with the longevity of your content. So that shelf life, that 12-hour, it feels like 2-hour shelf lives won't be so much of a factor, right? So you post today, you get some likes, you get comments, but tomorrow it's gone and then you're starting again. Each day feels like you're going back to step one. So it's no wonder that visibility often feels heavy. It feels like a headache that most of us just can't be asked to give time and energy to, right? Where evergreen content, it takes you off the treadmill, right? It takes you off and puts you on a flat surface, I would say, right? That you can walk at your own pace. You can stop when you need to. You can pause when you need to. So instead of asking each day, what am I going to post? Like, what do I do? What do I talk about? Instead, what I would love for you to ask yourself is, what am I building for the long term today? Right. So you're not thinking just in the short term, just in the moment, oh, I just have to get a post out, quick, post something. What we're doing is we're thinking with, I want to say like legacy, we're thinking with longevity, we're thinking with endurance in mind when we are creating content. So often things get dated, right? So there might be an event, a current event. And that's not to say don't talk about these things, but I see that a lot of people, they trend chase, they news jack, they run after all the current things. And then, like, as I say, 2, 3 months down the line, 2, 3 weeks down the line, it's not as relevant. Nobody's really interested anymore. They're just going to scroll past. So when you're asking yourself, what should I post? Think about the library that I would love for you to build. Think about, how can I create something that is going to be valuable 3 months when someone is searching for an answer to a question that's within my remit. I'm going to show up. I'm going to come up. Right. So if you're not even familiar, because I've like raced ahead, if you're not familiar with the term evergreen, hopefully what I have been saying so far has like shed some light. But it's really about staying relevant long term so that you can be discovered again and again, get eyeballs, get attention on your content. So don't rely on what's trending today. Don't rely on, the latest hot audio or sound, and you build your whole content piece around that, or something that's in the news. think about what makes sense into the future. What are people always going to be searching for in your niche, in your area of expertise? What are the pain points, the problems, the things that keep people up at night around what you do? So I can think, like, for me, it's always, what content works on LinkedIn? What's the best times to post? The types of things that people are always searching for. So they're not going to expire tomorrow morning, right? So drop in the chat. Let me know if I am making sense. Jackie says, that's so true, Shalina. I need to dig my well before I'm thirsty. So carve out time somewhere to batch create and schedule the content. Absolutely. And then you can just work at peace. You're just like, I know that, because this is the thing, right? The current content, the current client, sorry, get my teeth in, the current client that you're serving, when that comes to an end, if you haven't been intentional with your visibility, if you haven't been intentional about putting yourself out there, you now find yourself in a position where, again, you're starting from zero. You're like, right, now I need to start digging my well again. I need to start finding clients. Whereas if you had the evergreen content just going out on auto, still being available to engage, right? It doesn't remove that responsibility. You'd still have to carve time to be able to do that. But it's one less thing. It is one less thing. TikTok, come on in. I'm excited to see you guys here. Clean with Rock says, yes, I'm making sense. Amazing. Come on in, TikTok. You guys have been invited to the party. I've been going live for this is day 8, so the last 7 days across YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I just thought, hold on, why don't I just because let me explain. You used to be able to stream across the platforms, including TikTok, but TikTok changed the policy and said I needed to be a gamer. And I said, like they just like singled me out. It wasn't me only, everyone. You had to have a certain amount of gaming content, which I am not a gamer. But yeah, just now as I was going live, I'm like, actually, why don't I just turn my phone on and invite you guys to the party? So I'm glad you're here. I am glad that you are here. Right. So now I know that I'm making sense. I will continue. Right. So what I want to get into is the fact that, as I've said, a lot of us are creating in the moment content that disappears. What I want is for us to have content that's searchable. So you've got keywords, you've got phrases, you've got search terms that people are actually looking for. That's how you're going to come up in the search results. Content that's savable. I know my folder on Instagram and on LinkedIn and even on all the platforms, right? There's content that 2 seconds in, I'm like, right, I need to save this because this is gold. I need to come back to this because I'm doing a zillion things at once, right? And sometimes you can't really take it all in, but I know I need to revisit it. That's the kind of content that you want to create. Savable content that people want to save for themselves. And the next type of content is shareable. You want them to save it for themselves, but also be excited to share what you have created. When you share something, I think it almost like says something about you. So I don't want to share rubbish, right? I want to share what I can stand behind. I'm like, this is good. This is good content, and I'm happy to share it. So when you're creating your content, create with that in mind. The 3 S's: searchable, savable, shareable. Ask yourself as you're creating these evergreen content pieces, can I tick the boxes for these 3 S's? And what this is going to do is ensure that your content is still getting in front of eyeballs long after the algorithm has changed its coding, its whatever they do, right? Tinkering in the back, right? So once the algorithm has moved on, you still, right, are being presented. People are still finding you. So I'm talking about things like YouTube lives, LinkedIn lives, going live on TikTok and then saving it, right? Because if your lives just disappear, those are assets that you're letting walk out the door, right? Because you're giving value, you're showing up, you're sharing your intellectual property, your insights, answering questions that are valuable that you could then repurpose. So a blog post where you answer questions that your ideal clients are already searching for. And how many of you have searched on Google and been presented with a reel, a TikTok? Even in ChatGPT now, when you search, it will link to content. So it goes back to that thing of making sure that your content is searchable, right? A podcast. Maybe you start a podcast, long form content that somebody can consume and binge. These are assets, evergreen assets that, are not going to disappear in 24 hours. They're not going to disappear in a timeline. And what you find is with things, as I said, that are valuable, they're shared in WhatsApp groups, they're shared in Telegram groups, they're shared between, friends and peers and colleagues. So we definitely want to be going for those types of content. Carousels, again, carousels and infographics, I'll pair them together. They're almost like, I don't know, Haribo for adults, right? We love a carousel. We love a infographic because they're aesthetically pleasing, right? So they call to you quickly and easily, but also they are jam-packed with value. Often somebody may break a process out across a number of slides in a carousel. They may break a story over a number of slides. Infographics, again, they are breaking down complex ideas on one slide, one, 4x5, one Pinterest pin with the steps to something. So that is a evergreen content piece that you could easily create that people refer back to over and over again. And then when they're ready to take the next step, they've consumed your free content. You are the person who is top of mind. You're the person who they're going to revert and come back to. I really do believe that these digital assets are like silent workers. In the video that I did earlier today, I was saying that when you create them, it is like having workers that you can just send out. Right? They don't argue back. They're not asking questions. You create them and then you just dispatch them to the relevant platforms at the relevant times, right? So your content stays visible even when you are not. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me see what you guys are saying. TikTok, hey, welcome in. I see you guys. Thank you for jumping on. Thank you for sticking around. If you're coming in, you're like, what is this lady talking about? Right. Okay. So what I want to get into is just the fact that a lot of us, the stories that we're sharing, the insights, the encouragements, the lessons from the day, all beautiful stuff, all really nice. But if everything that you share is of that nature, it's moment content. What you're ending up is with visibility on vibes, I'm going to call it, instead of visibility that is built on assets, on endurance, longevity, things that will stick around. So evergreen content is what allows you to stop starting every week. It gives you a backbone, it gives you a spine almost to your visibility. And like, let's keep it practical and light, right? So I want to share with you 4 evergreen content types I think that matter most. TikTok, you guys are going to have to ask me for this graphic that I've created because you guys can't see it. Or come over to YouTube real quick. Search my name, Shalina Pitt, or LinkedIn, right? Because I'm gonna share my screen, right? Guys, I hope that you can see that over on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Right, so I've pulled this together just to briefly show you, right, what it looks like as a solopreneur, the evergreen content types that you need to be creating, sharing. So we spoke about long form content. That's SEO friendly, search engine optimization. Make sure that you have the right keywords. You, even on socials, right? SEO works. Don't just think that it is for search. SEO is also for socials. But long form content, what it allows, as I've said, is for it to be repurposed, to be replayed, to be searched, to be found. And that could look like having videos, podcasts, blogs, having digital assets that are downloadable, right? Number 4, I've put evergreen digital assets. These are like, whether you give them for free or you sell them, but they are downloadable assets that you can give to somebody, whether they give you their email address or you just give it. On LinkedIn, the PDFs, the carousels that are on LinkedIn, there's no need to give an email address. So it's just instant download. But again, that is an evergreen piece of content that you could be delivering. Ayanda, hello, my lovely. Good to see you. Guys, I am sweating up a storm. My whole forehead is like glistening, but we continue because we are professionals. So just ignore that outburst, right? So these are the 4 I would say are the most important. Long form, evergreen content, having signature, I'm glowing. Oh, Rebecca, you are so kind. You're so kind. I'm sweaty. Right. So again, continuing being professional and not taking it in a wrong direction. Having carousels, and maybe you brand your carousels in such a way that when somebody sees it, they instantly know that it's you, and they're like, you know what, I don't have time to read this, but I'm going to save this straight away, or I'm even going to share it because I trust what this person puts out. I know the quality of their work. Right. So you guys can screenshot this if you want, ask me for it. Happy to share this with you. But these are what I think are the 4 content types that you should absolutely be leveraging as a solopreneur. And then I just remembered I forgot to put up my QR code. So it's up there now. If you are interested in learning more about the LinkedIn Strategy Lab, scan the QR code. I'm going to do a mini walkthrough actually in this live. So you'll be able to see what's inside and all of the resources and support that you get. But yeah, scan the QR code if you are interested in continuing to be in my world and be supported by me, right? So those were the 4 content types that you absolutely should be leveraging. And you are probably like, Shalina, this is all fantastic, but where am I going to get the time to do all of this? Like, how is this even possible? And it's a fair question, right? It's a fair question because most women that I work with, they have full lives, real lives, right? They have careers, perhaps. Maybe they're full-time in their business. They've got families, children, grandchildren, responsibilities, commitments, all the things, right? So I very much like to help women to keep it extremely simple. Thank you for the heart, me. I like to keep things really simple, right? To have a pathway that somebody can follow so you know what the steps are. There's no guesswork. There's no you scratching your head and trying to figure it out. So I would always encourage you to have a simple evergreen rhythm, right? Have one core idea, have one evergreen asset piece, and then one place to distribute it on. I think half of the battle is we are trying to do all things, be all things to all people at all time. Like it just doesn't work. So I think having that core idea and an example, as you have been witnessing, I've been going live for the past 8 days speaking about visibility is one core idea that is creating an evergreen asset, right? I spoke on day one about utilizing tools like Restream to stream across multiple platforms. But my platform is LinkedIn. That's my bay. That's my place. That's where I hang out. However, I invest in tools to be able to stream across multiple platforms. And it's not me having to do it, the tool is doing it. I don't want to get into the whole reach, cost, time triangle again, but if you don't have the time, you're going to need to pay. So pay for a tool and have it do the legwork, right? If you are short on money, that you're going to have to invest some sweat equity, you're going to have to do the work, right? So work out what that looks like for you. But yeah, choosing your one asset, your one idea, your one platform. So that could be doing a LinkedIn live once a month, right? That maybe you repurpose into posts, into carousels, you extract ideas from it, and maybe you expand it in your email newsletter that you send out. Creating one signature carousel every fortnight that you really pour into, right? You haven't just cobbled it together, but you've given it real time and attention, that when it lands, that the thing is going to blow up. Everyone's going to be downloading, sliding into your DMs, asking you more information, asking you how they can work with you. So that signature carousel. Maybe it's a lead magnet that you use. Maybe this lead magnet, you use it for the entire year, and that's okay. If the lead magnet is bringing in leads, stick with it, right? If it's working, stick with it. If you post it up and nobody has downloaded it for, 90 days, I would say consider revising it. Maybe the promise of the lead magnet isn't compelling, so you may need to switch it up. But if the thing is working, leave it. Let it just keep working, keep getting in front of people and bringing leads in to your business, right? So those are just some ideas for how you could start to leverage evergreen content. Again, this is for me a content series that will become an evergreen asset. Trust and believe I'm going to chop this up. Trust and believe you'll probably hear this on my podcast. I'll extract the audio and whack that up onto Spotify, right? These are the things that I'm talking about, that when you are intentional with how you show up, it then pays you on the back end. So yes, there's work to be done now, but I'm building a library of assets that will endure. So let me come back before I do the walkthrough inside of the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. I would love to have a sip of my tea. TikTok. let me just do this. Let me do this real quick. There we go. I just blocked the camera, because what they do is you get your live gets stopped, and I believe it impacts your creator score. Jackie has said, "You're the queen of repurposing, Shalina." You know what? I will put my crown and wear that one. I love repurposing because I'm busy. I've got lots to do. So to me, if I've invested the time in creating, and what I'm going to put out is never going to be nonsense, it's never going to be rubbish. So I want to repurpose it. I want to get as much juice from what I'm sharing as possible, right? So I'm always going to repurpose, and I'm always going to encourage the men and women in my space to do the same. Always going to encourage you to do the same. Right, let me fire up the LinkedIn Strategy Lab because I want to show you guys inside. At the moment, we have a Black Friday offer on, right? So you can get in. For one, it's a founder's price. And then there's a Black Friday offer on the founder's price. So you are getting in for the low and for the value that you are getting. Yeah, you're winning. You are absolutely winning. We now have 57 members, which is fantastic. Super exciting. Okay, let's do the techie whiz things and add in this page. Screen School. So it's hosted on School, guys. I don't know if you are familiar with School, but it's hosted on a platform called School. So if you're familiar with Alex Hormozy, he is a co-founder in this platform. And just think of like a Facebook group. This is where it's similar in that regard, but all of the communities are hosted on this one platform. Okay, I'm going to do it like this so you guys can see it. That's better. That is the best way to show you. So what we're looking at here is the community section. So when you get into the community, this is the first tab. So up here, these are the tabs, right? So the community tab is the first one. So this is where the conversation happens. This is where the interactions happen. We have a weekly Q&A thread, so you can ask your questions. When you come into the lab for your day one tasks, what I'm asking so men and women are welcome into this space. This isn't just for women, right? So come in and I want you to be sharing screenshots of your profile, right? Letting us see what your profile looks like now, your follower numbers, because what I want is for you to capture a baseline with any exercise that you're doing. You want to capture a baseline before you do the work. So you have something to assess against. You've got metrics, you've got data to see, you know, this effort, this money, is it actually like returning an investment for me? In 8 days' time, we have our first event. So we're going to be speaking about profile setup. There's content in there that they can and should have gone through. And then on that live event, I'll be taking questions. I'll be guiding around profile setup, and it's an opportunity to network with other business owners. I'll just show you this super quickly. So in School, they have like a map of all of the members and where you're based. So we have members, oh gosh, it always messes about for me, right? So we have members across the US and the UK primarily, I think. But what it does is you're able to perhaps find somebody who is relatively local to you, maybe. Maybe they become a co-working buddy. Maybe you meet up at a hotel and co-work together, right? Because you know that you are both focused on visibility. This is something that you're both working towards, right? So you could start to see where people are based and do with that information as you will. It doesn't like give you the person's address, but it will give you the general location for where they are, right? So the second, I clicked into the event. So all of the events will be here. You can add them to your calendar and be notified when they are happening. So I've been putting in the visibility anchor episodes for the reason that all of this sits within the pathway that we utilize in the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. So we have a really simple pathway, 4 steps, right? It's about your profile, your content, your pipeline, and your clients, right? And that pathway combines with this anchor series that I've been delivering. So everything that I've been talking about will sit along that pipeline, right? So the content that we're speaking about now, evergreen content, that's going to sit within the evergreen pathway. And I'll be creating content, courses, resources to really bolster the people in the lab to be able to show up on LinkedIn strategically. So again, we're not scratching our head each morning and trying to figure it out, but we are doing it with intention and with purpose. The community is free to join. There are paid tiers, right, when you get inside. The difference that I would say in terms of the different tiers, if you want to be just a part of the community, and I deliver a weekly strategy for you, so I'll show you here, right? So each week there's a strategy. So this week, the strategy was around your link on LinkedIn and how that drives leads for you. At the free level, you're going to get access to that initial video as well as like an overview of the strategy. Those on the premium level, which is the first paid tier, will get access to resources, right? So there's a swipe file for this particular strategy that they can download, right? That gives them content specific to their niche, specific to their goals. So are you at the stage of wanting to increase your awareness? Maybe you're at the stage of wanting to build an email list. Maybe you're launching, right? So that swipe file answers and ticks many boxes. Those on the VIP, they then get access to a mini training all around like the analytics and figuring out what is the link actually driving, and what's it converting to? Are you getting clients from it? How are people responding to where you're driving them to? They also get a tracker, a conversion tracker. And I'm going into detail about this one particular weekly strategy just to show you the different levels and the different access points and support. Those in the VIP also are able to book in fortnightly one-to-one calls with me, right? So we would work on, suppose they're launching something, work on a strategy for how they launch that particular thing on LinkedIn. So it comes down to where you're at and if you value resources over community, or maybe you actually want to work one-to-one and that's important to you. And that's where you would decide, I'm going to upgrade to VIP, or maybe I'm just happy with having on-demand training. And let me show you inside the community. So the different areas. So this is for the premium, that's the first paid tier. And then this is for those on VIP, right? So there's the LinkedIn Strategizer course, which was my 10 module course all around LinkedIn. The LinkedIn Profile Optimization course, that is something that you could just purchase. If you're on the free, you could get that. I think it's like $18. You could just pick that up. The strategies is open to all. So every week, and I'm calling it Work It Wednesday. So it lands on a Wednesday and I want you to go and work this strategy. Don't just like watch the video, actually implement it. And then Saturday School was a series that I did probably about 3-4 months ago, across various different topics to do with visibility, your offers and tools and LinkedIn, right? So this is the community space. This is inside the LinkedIn Lab. The pathway, as I've mentioned, there's videos that take you through the pathways, right? So you can understand what it is that we're doing collectively, and then the strategies will link in with these pathways. The on-demand training will further bolster, and then the one-to-one support, if that's what you need, is available for you. So guys, scan the QR code if what I've shared is of interest. It's something that you want to be a part of, you want to get your LinkedIn game together. I work with clients one-to-one. I have 2 other communities, and this one is specific to LinkedIn, also open to men. So if you know any brothers, any fellas that want to get their LinkedIn game up, Ayanda, you just joined, amazing. I'm excited to have you in. I'll let you in the tip, right? If you know any guys that want to get their LinkedIn game together, please do share it with them. I generally work with women over the age of 40. However, I do have like male clients that I work with one-to-one. So yeah, your messaging you'll have primary audience, but you'll also have a secondary audience. I have women that are like, I'm not 40 yet, can I work with you? Yeah, sure. It's just my messaging speaks to women over the age of 40, and I would expect the same for you. Whatever it is that you do, there will be outliers and people who just love what you do and love the way that you do it, and they're just like, please take my money, how can I work with you? So guys, I have been on for way longer than I anticipated, but I hope that you found that helpful. Let me see what, there's a comment here from Leonora. Okay, let me get my eyes together. What if you do not have the experience to edit videos, upload, amend content to Spotify, etc., and other tasks, as not everyone is? I get that, right? I get that. What I would say to you is there's one of two things. Sometimes it takes for you to ring fence some time and actually be intentional with learning how to do these things. You can pay for education, right? You could pay to learn how to do the thing. You could go to YouTube University. You could go to ChatGPT and ask, how do I do this thing, right? Or you just outsource it. You go to Fiverr. You find a young person who knows how to do these things. It really depends on where you are, what stage of your business you are at. And I'll go back to that whole time, cost, quality triangle thing. As I said, my background's in project management. And when someone's like, oh yeah, they want this project, and they're like, we have no budget, but we want it tomorrow, it can't work, right? That one can't work. So you have to decide, like, what is the constraints that you have? Maybe it's just you don't have time. I've got clients, but I want to edit a podcast. I want to get it up and out. There are tools as well, AI tools that can support you in that regard. But yeah, sometimes for me even, right, I want to learn something and I just have to sit my bum down and dedicate the time to understand it. And I would always encourage you to do that first before you even outsource, because people can pull the wool over your eyes if you don't understand something. I could tell you, oh, this is going to take me 20 hours, and you have no idea whether I'm talking nonsense or not. So even doing something first before you outsource it is always advisable. But yeah, that would be my answer. If you don't have experience of editing videos, and it doesn't have to be like, no, I'm not encouraging you guys to like set up a home studio and become bloggers, and it doesn't need to be at that level, because when you think of it, right, the clients that you work with, I believe you work with like solicitors and lawyers, they're not interested in fancy cuts and edits and transitions and overlays and music and whizzy pop back. They're not. They want to hear what you have to say. They want to understand that you know what you're doing. You can get the transformation. You have success stories. You've got receipts that you can show. That's what they're interested in. So it's like, how can we present ourselves and our content in a way that is clean and professional, but doesn't have to do the most? So yeah, I hope that I didn't kind of present it that you need to now kick your youngest out of their bedroom and turn it into a whole recording studio. No, you don't need to do any of that. But TikTok, let me know. Do you have any questions when it comes to, maybe I'll hang out with you guys for a bit after. Let me wrap up here. Guys, this has been fantastic. I'm going to be back tomorrow for the final day, day 9. And I'm going to be delivering 2 anchors. So I'm going to be speaking about your offers, right? This is the meat and potatoes. You're like, yeah, how do we get to the money, right? Your offers are an anchor. What are your offers saying about you? And how are you getting them out into the online world? How are you presenting your offers, but also rhythm for visibility? Because the last thing I would want is for you to burn out. I said at the beginning of this series, like, choose one of the 10 anchors and get started there. Don't try and do all of them at the same time. Start with one anchor and then go on to the next one in the series. So I'm speaking about evergreen content. Tomorrow is about your offers. That's like, the final one. So go in the sequential order. So if you started today and you get to 10, then start back at 1, because they stack on each other. But some people will just gravitate to one in particular. That's okay. Start there. So if there are no further questions, I will give you back the rest of your Thursday, and I will be back tomorrow for day 9 in this visibility series. It's been fun. It's been tiring, I'll be honest. I've got to gear myself up to go live. But yeah, they have been nice chats, nice conversations, and I've got to share the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. The pricing, I didn't get into the pricing, did I? No. The pricing, we're on a Black Friday offer at the moment. So come Tuesday next week, so we've got Cyber Monday, end of Cyber Monday, the pricing goes up to its normal price. I say normal price, we are just getting started. So as the value of the space increases, as I add more, then the price will go up. So I'm always going to encourage you to hop in while the pricing is still low and accessible. Let me share the pricing. And not for some reason, School is an American company, so it's all in dollars. Let me come back here. I wanted to share this one. Hold on, guys. Media. Screen. Here we are. So the pricing, as I said, there's a free level. You get access to the community. There's a free mini course in there, actually, how to create compelling content on LinkedIn in 7 days. Mini course with workbook, jam-packed with value. So check that out when you get in. And then you get those weekly actionable strategies. That's on the free, right? The next level is the premium. Is $23 per month. You can go annual if you, like me, prefer to just pay in one go, and you also get a discount when you go for the annual. So $23 is about £17 a month, right? So you get everything that's in the free, but you also get access to the LinkedIn strategy course as the initial main course, which I sold for kind of £360, I think it was, right? So you get instant access to that, as well as other on-demand trainings and support tools, access to resources, templates, and then exclusive masterclasses for those at premium level. The VIP is $33, which is, I'm Googling this on the fly, $33 in pounds is £25 a month, right? So this is the Black Friday pricing. This pricing will not be the price that continues after Black Friday has concluded. In VIP, as I said, you get everything in these tiers, as well as you can book fortnightly consultation time in my diary. We'll have private group coaching for higher level strategies. And these strategies won't just be LinkedIn strategy. So we'll be looking broadly at various other elements that make up your visibility. So your email marketing, your video marketing strategies, so there are other strategies that come into play at VIP. And yeah, support creating complementary strategies for the other platforms, and then early access and best pricing to any other tools or trainings or events that I do. And I'm always doing something. So this is what the pricing looks like. Because I did all the talking and didn't show you guys the price. So guys, let me go because I'm getting hotter, shinier, and sweatier as we go. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Look out for the final event. I will set that up and schedule that tomorrow morning. All right, guys, take care. This has been fun. I don't think there are any other questions. You're welcome, Jackie or Debbie, depending on Shalina and what comes to mind. Hey, Charlene, good to see you. Good to see you. If you have just hopped in, the replay of this will be available instantly. As I end it, you could go back and watch from the start. It will be available on my LinkedIn page and on YouTube. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the evening. Take care.